A city can often be judged by the sculptures and artwork which line its streets. Sometimes they're statues of famous historical figures on horseback, famous political figures or philanthropists. But Nottingham is different. Yes, we have artwork. Yes, we have a few famous figures, but not necessarily from that long ago. And yes, we have a piece of cheese as well. And I'll just point out before we start, by the way, that any views I express here are mine, and if you don't like my opinions, oh well. The Sky Mirror was commissioned by the Nottingham Playhouse and was unveiled on the 27th of April 2001 at a cost of £900,000. At the time, it was the most expensive piece of civil artwork funded by the National Lottery, so now you know where all your pounds went. It was designed by artist Anish Kapoor and is 6 metres wide and weighs a total of 10 tonnes. It is angled upwards to reflect the ever-changing sky and is installed outside the Playhouse in Wellington Circus. Visually, the reflections are impressive, especially on a bright day with interesting cloud structure. I quite like it. I'm not convinced it was worth the money, and I'm also not convinced it's installed in the best possible place in the city, and I can't help feeling that the Sky Mirror in the old Market Square would be a far more impressive spectacle. Despite the fact that Robin Hood is synonymous with Nottingham, the city hasn't always used the folk hero to its advantage to promote the city. The statue of Robin Hood changed all that. The Robin Hood statue was gifted to the city by Philip Clay, the director of a local firm, Elastic Yarns and Fine Wires, in 1949. It cost a total of £5,000 and was designed and sculpted by Nottingham-born James Woodford, a respected Royal Academy sculptor. The sculpture of Robin Hood was cast in 8 pieces of half-inch thick bronze made to last 6,000 years and weighing half a tonne. It stands at 7 foot tall on a 2.5 tonne block of white Clipsham stone. The statue stands below the castle, surrounded by smaller sculptures of Little John, Friar Tuck, Alan a Dale and Will Scarlet, with plaques depicting scenes from the stories of the merry men. Robin himself poses with his arrow pointed at the castle gatehouse. On a warm sunny day on the 24th of July 1952, the statue was unveiled by the Duchess of Portland in front of civic dignitaries and 500 schoolchildren, with a fanfare from a band of the Royal Lincolnshire Regiment. The design of the statue was controversial though. People were expecting a more Errol Flynn style of Robin Hood, with a pointed cap and a feather, rather than the skull cap, which was more historically accurate. Over the years, the statue has become a target for souvenir hunters, and the arrow has been stolen a number of times before a more permanent solution was found. Over the years, I'm sure every child in Nottingham has had their photo taken standing next to the statue of Robin Hood by their parents, along with the tens of thousands of visitors every year. The leaf stem was designed and sculpted by artist Paul Mason, made from white marble. Now I can remember the leaf stem being installed opposite St Peter's Church back in 1985. I can also remember the water running down the streets and the colour of a marble turned after a period of time. And finally, I can remember the health scare in 1994 with regard to bacteria in the recycled water. To be honest, as a sculpture, it's pretty inoffensive and it's easy on the eye. But it's a water feature that doesn't have any water. Brian Clough, the greatest manager England never had, which is just as well because we wanted to keep the legend at the City Ground. When Cloughy died, sadly in 2004 at the age of 69, the idea was touted there should be a statue to the great man in Nottingham. The Brian Clough Statue Fund raised £70,000 in 18 months to allow the statue to be designed and sculpted by Les Johnson. The 9-foot bronze statue was unveiled on Thursday the 6th of November 2008 by his widow Barbara, sons Nigel and Simon, along with daughter Elizabeth. A whole host of Clough family members were there, along with a number of former players from Nottingham Forest. It is sited at the junction of King and Queen Street, facing Nottingham Old Market Square, his arms raised aloft in triumph as they had been so many times before. It's also worth noting that such was his popularity around the country, there's also a statue of Brian Clough along with his assistant Peter Taylor erected outside Pride Park in Derby, and a further one at Albert Park in Middlesbrough along the pathway he used to take as a player from his home on Valley Road to the club's old ground at Ayresome Park. This statue is an amazing likeness to Mr Clough, whereas some bronze statues are almost unrecognisable, Ronaldo for instance. This perfectly represents the great man himself and is a fantastic tribute to him. Created by Midland artist Richard Perry, the quartet was initially installed on the west side of the Old Market Square, opposite the toilets, at a cost of £25,000 and was unveiled by Princess Anne in 1986. The introduction of the tram network forced the statue to be moved about 250 metres away to Chapel Bar, where it sits today, sandwiched between restaurants and a gateway to the city from its entrance on Upper Parliament Street. It's an unusual piece which conveys busy shoppers going about their business. I can recall when it was installed it wasn't that well received. I feel that Chapel Bar is definitely the better place to site it. And now for the cheese of the piece. The Juggernaut of Naught is designed by Richard Trupp and was originally displayed in the grounds of Great Foster's Hotel in Surrey, before finally, as of 2016, outside Nottingham Trent University's Arkwright building on Shakespeare Street. It is 236 centimetres high by 150 centimetres wide by 75 centimetres deep, and apparently is valued at £36,000. Now, I don't know much about art, and I know different things appeal to different people, but really? Really? However, don't let my thoughts on any of these pieces influence you. If you've not seen them, get out the house, go down to Nottingham and have a look. See them, touch them, feel them, look at them from different angles and different perspectives. Look at them and see the detail and the artistry in each and every one of them. And please, make your own mind up.
Wow! I never knew